Millions have seen apples fall, but only Newton asked why. This legendary quote is important not only as a reminder of the value of asking why and how in science to develop theories, but also as a testament to Newton's extraordinary genius. Once something is discovered, looking back, it may seem obvious, as we saw recently with reusable rockets. It seems so obvious now, but until someone actually proposed and made it happen, it wasn't so clear. The same applies to gravity. We often don't question why things fall. If we act as if we already know the answers, we don't seek explanations. Simply observing a falling apple and identifying a law of nature in it is an event in itself. But being able to question why and how it falls requires a completely different kind of insight. And this is where science begins. Science is not merely observing passively or collecting data. Science ends with explaining observations and data, and it is those who are most passionate about unraveling and explaining the deepest mysteries of the universe and willing to spend years on it who become the true luminaries. For this reason, I will discuss Isaac Newton, a brilliant yet unusual mind, and delve into both his intellectual achievements and his dark, hidden, and occult side. You may find it fascinating to learn about the eccentric obsessions of such an iconic scientific figure. If you're ready, let's begin. Isaac Newton was born on Christmas Eve, December 25, 1642. In a previous video, I explained how the Gregorian calendar was developed in 1582 to align with astronomical events, replacing the Julian calendar. England, where Newton was born, hadn't yet adopted this new calendar, still using the old Julian calendar. So by today's calendar, Newton's birth date would be January 4, 1643. This uncertainty also cast doubt on the claim that Newton was born in the same year Galileo died. Galileo died on January 8, 1642, nearly a year before Newton was born. Isaac's father, a wealthy farmer named Isaac Newton, died 3 months before he was born. Isaac, named after his father, comes from the biblical name Isaac, which means he who laughs in Hebrew. Legend has it that when the angel announced Sarah's unexpected pregnancy at an advanced age, she laughed, so the child was named Isaac. Isaac's mother remarried to a wealthy clergyman, leaving Isaac with his grandmother. This abandonment deeply hurt him and led to a lifelong resentment toward his family, especially his stepfather. At 12, he lived with an apothecary, developing interests in chemistry and, more permanently, in mathematics. He began attending King's School in Grantham, where he left his initials on a window ledge, a mark still visible today. He briefly left school to work as a farmer, a profession he despised, but returned thanks to the encouragement of his headmaster. He excelled in his studies, designing sundials and windmills, which helped him gain popularity. At 18, Newton graduated with high marks, enabling him to enter Trinity College at Cambridge. Although he hadn't yet made any significant achievements, he was encouraged by his professors to expand his studies beyond Aristotle's teachings, studying works by Copernicus, Galileo, and Kepler, which greatly enhanced his interest in mathematics and physics. University years and the beginning of a genius. At Cambridge, Newton's knowledge and passion for mathematics and physics deepened tremendously. He purchased an astrology book, which he struggled to understand due to his lack of knowledge in trigonometry and geometry. This led him to buy Euclid's Elements, but he initially dismissed it as trivial. Later, however, he returned to Euclid and realized its value, especially after being criticized by a professor for his gaps in geometry. This pushed him to study rigorously, developing a profound respect for the work of previous thinkers. By 1664, Newton was testing boundaries in optics and experimenting with light. His groundbreaking findings came during a time of great crisis, the bubonic plague of 1665, which led to Cambridge's temporary closure. Newton returned home to Woolsthorpe Manor, where he conducted some of his most revolutionary work. It was here, in the garden under the famous apple tree, that he supposedly pondered why apples fall downward. While it's unclear if the apple truly hit him on the head, Newton himself referenced the event in his notes. This was his first breakthrough with gravity. Objects fall toward Earth's center due to a natural force, which might also govern the movement of celestial bodies. This period, known as Annus mirabilis, the miracle years, became legendary. Between 1664 and 1667, Newton developed theories that would revolutionize science. He didn't have the mathematical tools to prove his ideas, so he created them, inventing calculus from scratch, a mathematical method that allowed him to describe motion, change, and the forces acting on objects. By age 26, he had established the foundations of what would later be called classical mechanics. Newton's fascination with light and optics led him to remarkable discoveries. He realized that white light is made up of various colors, a concept still unfamiliar at the time. To explore this, Newton performed many dangerous experiments, including inserting a blunt needle into his eye to distort its shape and test color perception. Despite his success, he faced significant opposition from other scientists, especially Robert Hooke, who challenged Newton's methods and findings. Newton, sensitive to criticism, retreated from publishing for years and became increasingly reclusive. This feud with Hooke became legendary, culminating in Newton allegedly destroying Hooke's only portrait in retaliation, leaving us without any image of him today. Newton held grudges and was known for his intense reactions to criticism, which he saw as personal attacks. Over time, he developed a dark, solitary side and harbored a profound distrust of others. Newton's interest in theology, alchemy, and the occult. Despite being known today for his scientific contributions, Newton had deep religious and mystical interests. He rejected the orthodox Christian doctrine of the Holy Trinity, considering it a corruption introduced by the devil in the early church. Newton meticulously analyzed biblical texts, convinced that hidden knowledge lay within. This obsession led him to predict an apocalyptic date, the year 2060, when he believed a great transformation would occur. Newton was also captivated by alchemy, particularly the legendary philosopher's stone, believed to transform base metals into gold and grant eternal life. He conducted extensive alchemical experiments, even poisoning himself with mercury in his search for this mythical substance. This pursuit was secretive and highly controversial, as alchemy was illegal in England at the time, considered a threat to economic stability. The calculus controversy and rivalry with Leibniz. Newton's development of calculus was a critical achievement. However, it wasn't long before a fierce controversy erupted with the German mathematician Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz, who independently developed his own version of calculus around the same time. Leibniz published his findings first, sparking a long, bitter dispute. Newton, unwilling to concede, used his influence as president of the Royal Society to accuse Leibniz of plagiarism. The society sided with Newton, although the matter remains contentious even today, with historians largely agreeing that both men developed calculus independently. Political influence in final years. Newton's fame grew beyond science, and in 1696, he was appointed warden of the Royal Mint. He transformed England's coinage system, tackling widespread counterfeiting with ruthless efficiency. Newton personally oversaw trials, sentencing counterfeiters to death. In 1703, he was elected president of the Royal Society, a position he held until his death. By this time, he was celebrated as a scientific hero, but his health was deteriorating, partially due to years of mercury exposure from his alchemical experiments. In 1720, he suffered a major financial setback with the collapse of the South Sea Company. Newton had initially invested and sold at a profit, but later reinvested at higher prices, losing a fortune when the bubble burst. He famously remarked, "I can calculate the motion of heavenly bodies, but not the madness of people," reflecting his frustration with human unpredictability. The legacy of Isaac Newton. Isaac Newton passed away on March 20, 1727 at age 84. His contributions laid the groundwork for modern physics, mathematics, and astronomy. Newton is interred at Westminster Abbey, a testament to his enduring legacy. His work in physics remained unchallenged until the 20th century, when Einstein's theory of relativity transformed our understanding of gravity. Newton's legacy is one of unparalleled genius, curiosity, and complexity. His character encompassed a blend of brilliance and eccentricity, driven by a pursuit of knowledge that was both scientific and mystical. Despite his darker tendencies, Newton illuminated the path of science, leaving an indelible mark that still resonates across the world of discovery and knowledge today.